Vintage Story is a survival game at heart, and to progress you're going to need metal, copper, tin, iron. The process for finding metal is much different than the other block game. The simple life of strip mining is out the door. Vintage Story has more refined methods of finding ores. Prospecting. Funding for this video is provided by viewers like you. In this video, I will show you the method for prospecting or looking for ores underground in Vintage Story. I'm not saying this is the only way, I'm saying this is the way that works for me. Which is to say, I've found iron by stumbling into a cave, and I would argue it's almost as effective as the prospecting pick. So let's do some prospecting. Before you head out into the great wilds of Vintage Story, you should pack the following items for your adventure. Some of these items are a must, like a pickaxe. Other items are completely up to you, like food. Here's the Dracs Fantastic Prospecting Adventure List. A pickaxe. It can be any type, but be aware, some ores will need a higher tier axe to mine. I'm looking at you, Borax. Shovel. I think most people always carry one, but I didn't want to leave it off the list. You'll have to dig through dirt or sand to get to the stone level, but you know what? It's not necessary. You can punch dirt in this game. The prospecting pick. This can be made from any metal. You'll just be using it on stone. The metal you use will determine the longevity of the pick. If I'm going on a long run, I'll make the best one I can. But who are we kidding? Mine's always made of copper. I love you, orange friend. The next item is something I just started bringing along on my prospecting trips, ladders or rope ladders. I'm firmly in the stack of dirt camp. Dirt is versatile, easy to find, and I love it. Plus you can use it to block off caves. Ladders take up bag space and, well, they have to be crafted. So I guess if you want the easy life, pack some ladders. Hey, don't tell anyone else, but maybe the ladder lovers are right. Light! Yes, it's dark underground, and you'll be spending a lot of time down there. Any light source will work. I usually have a lantern in the offhand, and then some torches if I want to light an area temporarily, or throw one down to light up a hole. Honestly though, what light you use is your preference. Food. I joke that I don't always bring food, but there's some truth in this. If it's summer and I'm in a temperate zone, I can live off berries. Any other time of the year or location on the map, bring something to eat. There's nothing worse than starving out 100 blocks down, thousands of blocks from home. This next one is something I always forget about. You will most likely find yourself in a cave looking for metal. These caves can be huge, and it's very easy to get lost. If you bring some charcoal or chalk, you can mark your way as you travel through the cave. This will make it a snap to find your way out. Alternatively, you can bring some stone and leave yourself a breadcrumb trail back to the surface. This is so smart. Really need to start doing this. All right, ready? Bags packed, belly full. Let's go. Open the door to your house, walk 2 blocks, and start digging. I think a lot of players believe you need to go out into the world and prospect, but you should start at home. Start by digging down until you see some rock. You should probably use the ladders you brought with you so you can get back up. Remember, you can skip every other block and still climb up or down. Now, equip your prospecting pick and press the F key. This is going to bring up the menu with 2 options. We will start with density mode or long range mode. Think of this as really bad radar. You're going to take 3 samples of the surrounding blocks, and the game will tell you what materials are in the ground in this chunk area. What it won't tell you is exactly where they are in the ground. Like I said, you need 3 samples, and they must be taken at least 3 blocks apart. After each sample, you'll get a message in the chat saying you need 2 more, 1 more. If you're too close to another sample, it'll simply repeat the last message. When you take the 3rd sample, the chat will spit out a message of the chunk reading. You can see here I have a reading for decent native copper. This means there's a good amount of copper in this chunk. Now, if these are the metals you're looking for, it's time to move to step 2. If not, you can keep looking. Repeat this first step over and over and over. Before we start digging, if you open your map, you'll now see a little circle where you prospected. If you hover your cursor over the circle, it will show you the same information as you saw in the chat. This is such a helpful system. I sometimes will add an additional map marker for the top metal in the ground, like copper for instance. A couple more things to think about when using the long range mode. You don't need to dig down. If you're running along and you see some exposed rock, you can take a reading here as well. It will show you info for the block below. This is one of my favorite ways to search for metal, as you don't need to dig down. You can prospect and run. My other tip is that it's been my experience that ore runs through the ground on a line. Now, this isn't always the case, but I've seen it often. So find copper in one area, run along a line, and there's a good chance you'll find it again. No science here, just good old-fashioned prospecting gut feelings. Okay, now we're going to switch to node search, or short range. This is where the real fun begins. Now, unlike the other block games, strip mining is not a thing. Most of the ores in the ground spawn as a pancake, so mining in a line to find the ores would not be a good use of your time. Fun, I might argue, but not practical. The number of blocks the node search will scan is set in the world gen. The default is 6 blocks. That's how I have mine set. I can take the first measurement here by breaking the block in front of me. The chat will spit out a message telling me if there's any ore within 6 blocks in any direction of where I prospected. As you can see, there are no ores. So what's next, you ask? This is the fun I was talking about. My process when prospecting is simple. I dig 6 blocks in every direction, or 2 directions, depending on my mood, and then I'll take a new sample. Still nothing, down 6 or so blocks, and repeat the process until I get a hit. Oh, copper! And now I'll dig in and start to hunt for the metal. I'll continue to use the short range scan on my prospecting tool to narrow down the location of the metal. As you can see here, every time I take a reading, it tells me low amount of ore, medium amount of ore, high amount of ore, which means I'm getting close. Sometimes you'll have to go up, or down, or sideways to find the ore. It's not a perfect science. And you know what? I really enjoy this process. It feels more real than just mining down a long hallway. The reading here is high. I'm poking around, looking for the first signs of metal in the rock. There it is! Yes! Now that you've found it, depending on the amount from the reading, you should be able to follow the seam and mine out all the metal. Easy, right? Note, if you're playing with cave-ins on, you'll need to worry about the stability of the blocks above you. This will require either some fancy digging, rammed earth, or my favorite, wood beams. Trust me, the last thing you want when finding that perfect vein is to have the roof fall in on you. If you've taken a reading of high amounts of, let's say, copper, then there'll be multiple areas throughout the chunk that have copper. Which is to say, you could find a seam at 30 blocks down, and then down another 30, and maybe even farther down. Most chunks will have multiple readings. There's almost always at least a couple of different ores down there. So be ready with some empty bags to bring up a lot of ore. Ore can generate anywhere in Vintage Story, from the very bottom of the world to the top, which means 2 things. Yes, it can be harder to find, but on a more positive note, there's a lot of ore out there in the world to be had, so get out there. Final couple of thoughts. Prospecting is something you should be doing all the time. Add that prospecting pick into the first set of tools you make and carry it with you always. This way you can prospect the world while out there exploring. Let's say you're looking for a particular ore. Don't be afraid to travel many thousands of blocks. The world in Vintage Story is big. My method is to start from the house, head one direction, and take a reading along the way. If nothing's coming up, change course and keep looking. There are ores that are found in certain types of rocks and in specific regions of the world. That topic is for another video, but I wanted to mention it here. I'll post a link in the description that talks about ores in the world in Vintage Story. There you have it, prospecting in Vintage Story, the Dracs Method. Do you have your own method? Share it with me in the comments. I hope this video helps new players understand the system for finding ore. It's not as hard as it looks, and well, I think it's one of the many fun processes in the game. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. The video's over. Now it's time for you to do your part. Follow, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.